So it is Fulfilling Life Friday, and it is September 20th, 2019. I was just talking to a representative from my student loan because I wanted some information about what I could do to pay down my loans. And something that I've learned from reading, or I'm auto listening to, what's the name of the book? It is The Richest Man in Babylon. So although they talk about gods, etc., I dismiss that point and I focus on the principles that are applied in that book. And one of the principles is that you can gain knowledge from individuals who are experts in the area, generally just by asking. You don't have to necessarily invest in what they're doing. You can just ask them questions, and the ones who are willing to give freely will answer that information for you directly. So I took that bit of knowledge and I talked to a representative of my student loan company so that I can get information on how I can continue to pay off my loan and not accrue additional interest that is unnecessary. Because I found out that over a monthly basis, one of my loans equates to about $260 something each month. So if you're surprised by the fact that your loan is jumping tremendously within the month or within the year, it's because all that interest is accrued and you're going to have to pay that. So why not pay off the interest first before you tackle the actual principal? And so I gained that bit of knowledge, and I'm so grateful for that person that I spoke with, because some people, only ask the questions that you ask directly but don't think outside the box and say, hey, let me add some more information to this caller so they can have more insight. So I'm just grateful for that, and I learned that bit of information, and I'm ready to pay off my student loans, and I'm ready to be debt free. I know that through the practice of actually making the payments consistently is going to get me to a level where I'm going to receive a blessing in the sense that it's going to be paid off supernaturally. So I'm looking forward to that. So for Fulfilling Life Friday, we're talking about misunderstood, and this is something that I felt so much when I was in high school, especially middle school, and just throughout life, until I reached a point where I realized it's not my task to be understood by everyone. It's not my job to make sure everyone understands me, my personality, and how I am, and why I do the things that I do. It's not my job to do that. It's also not my concern to be approved by people and to be accepted by everyone. And so once I found that out, I had more peace. I don't have to worry about overthinking situations and wondering how someone feels about a statement I made or action I made, because this doesn't matter. I owe nothing to no one except for God. And so I'm just grateful for that revelation. But I wanted to talk to you about that today because it's important that you have that understanding that it's not about people and their opinions and their thoughts about you and your life. It's about living your life to the best of your ability, living your life according to God's plan. And so people are going to misunderstand you on a variety of occasions, especially the people who say they know you but they actually don't know you, but especially also strangers. The strangers that are in your life that you encounter maybe a couple times a week are unfortunately going to misunderstand you, but it's not your job to try to make sure they understand you. Like in instances where you say something and you know that it was misunderstood by a group of people, it's not your position or role to go back and try to explain yourself. You're wasting your time. Unless that person follows up with you, you don't have to go and directly say what you meant, unless you know that it was something that was hurtful. If it was misunderstood, it was misunderstood, and that's fine. I had this experience last Friday where I was at a group meeting and something that I said was misunderstood, and I remember thinking about it over the weekend and leading into Monday, and then realizing I had wasted so much time thinking about the fact that I was misunderstood. But then I came to realize, God knows who I am. I know who I am, and I know my heart, so I know what I meant, and that's what matters. And so we can dwell in the fact that people are misunderstanding us. We can dwell in the fact and try to think that we need to say something to correct ourselves. We need to go back and do an action to so that people realize what we're meaning and what we're talking about, or the people that we are. But the reality is that the people that really know you are going to take the time to understand you. They're going to take the time to ask questions about things they misunderstand. They're going to take the time to see you for who you truly are. And so don't waste time trying to get people to understand you, trying to get strangers to understand you, trying to get people that you encounter on a partial basis a few times a week to understand you. If they really want to understand you, they'll grow in their relationship with you, and they'll ask you questions, and they will get to know you. So what are you going to do when people misunderstand you? Are you going to continue to take offense or let it go? And I took offense last week. I did. Not in the sense that I was angry about the situation, but I was wanting them to understand me. And so I was thinking about it, and I was wondering how they didn't understand, but then I realized I was wasting my time, and so I pivoted from that point and I let it go. That's the key point, is to let it go. Stop dwelling on things. Don't let your mind continue to dwell on things when you should be focused on something that is pertaining to your calling, pertaining to what you're supposed to be doing and the work you're supposed to be doing. So people are going to often always have ideas about you and opinions about how you should live your life. And this is just the reality, is that people are going to say what you should do about certain situations. And, there's a difference between suggestions and people trying to tell you what to do. Suggestions will allow you to examine what your situation is and say, hey, so I'm going to apply this suggestion. And then sometimes other people will try to force it on you and try to say you need to do it this way. But you have to have a personal discipline to say, well, let me assess this suggestion and see if this is actually going to fit into what I'm actually doing, fit into my characteristics, fit into the situation that I'm trying to find a solution for. So you don't always have to take people's suggestions. Really examine it before you consider pursuing it, because if you don't examine it, you may be falling into a place that you don't want to go into. And I want to say, who do you have to prove to? You have no one to prove anything to prove. You have no one to prove to except for God. So if people are saying, you need to do it this way because this and that, well, like I said, consider what they're saying and consider if you're going to apply it or not. You don't have to take everyone's opinion. One example is, I'm going to be getting married soon, and I've been looking at a lot of wedding profiles on Instagram, and I see all these women having these extravagant weddings and all these different things, and I'm like, well, that's nice that they did that, but do I need that? Is that necessary for my wedding? And so you have to realize, well, not everything that others do are going to be applicable to your life. Not everything that everyone else does is going to put you on the path that you need to be on. So, finally, someone is always going to have something to say. Someone is always going to have something to say, so you can't prevent people and their opinions, but you can determine what your approach is going to be to that. You can determine what your reaction is going to be. Are you going to take offense, or are you going to let it go, like I said before? And another important thing is, you do not have to respond. There's a lot of comments I've received, or people that have said things to me directly, and I will not respond to them, or I'll say something like, I see, or something like that, because you don't need to address everything that's been said, especially when you consider it to be rude and insulting. You don't have to clap back and say whatever you want to say in that moment, because we get in this moment and we get in a moment of anger or whatever the case is, and then we'll say something that is you getting in the place of that person who said the rude and disrespectful thing to you. So don't get in that place. Decide to draw back and If you need to say something to address it in a respectful way, then take some time to do that so you can get out of that place of anger and hurt and whatever the case is, so that you can respond in a kind and nice way. You don't want to get out of character, especially when you've been working on your character for a long period of time and have reached a point where you've gotten your peace and you've been able to handle situations with peace. And so I just want to recommend that to you, is to step back and examine it, get out of that anger, get out of that hurts, get out of whatever that negative feeling is before you respond, if you do decide to respond, and a response is not always necessary. So finally, I want to touch on keeping your peace. Don't dwell on things. Don't let your mind dwell on things more than a few hours. Like, you can think about it, and in the process of thinking about it, think about it for the goal of actually examining yourself to work on certain things that you can do, but don't sit there and dwell on it for days or months at a time and end up wasting your time and staying in a place of depression or hurt or anger because you just continue to dwell on it. So keep your peace. Don't allow people to take your peace from you, because sometimes that is just how it is. You'll have this general peace about yourself, and then someone will come at you and say something. So you have that point to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to take offense? Are you going to dismiss it? Or are you going to let it go? And so that is all for Fulfilling Life Friday. If you catch the replay, I hope you do. One final note I want to say, final note, because our final note is always to do speaking blessings over everyone. But I want to say that Fulfilling Life Friday is going to be moving from Instagram Live to Periscope. And I'm going to put my Periscope link in my bio so that you can tap into that for next Friday, because I feel that Periscope is a better platform. And I think the young lady who said before in one of my other videos that she felt like this wasn't my medium, and I thought about it and I realized like there are a lot of more benefits to Periscope versus Instagram Live. I may still get on here for other things, but for now, Fulfilling Life Friday is going to be moved to Periscope. So if you don't have Periscope, go ahead and download that app, and you don't have to just follow me. There's other really great leaders who come on Periscope and share information live that is going to be monumental and great for you and your advancement. So download the Periscope app and you can follow me, Kia Harris, and then next Fulfilling Life Friday we're going to be on there and we're going to try out Periscope, and I'm excited for that. So I'm going to close out Fulfilling Life Friday with speaking blessings over you. I want to say that we are approaching the end of the month, and wow, it's September and it's about to be October, and then it's going to be the end of the year. So I just want to speak blessings over your goals and your discipline for these final months of the year, because we all need discipline and we need to be consistent about the things we do. And so I speak blessings over your discipline and your goals. And then I also speak blessings over your peace of mind. Don't let people get in the way of who you are becoming, the characteristics that you have set for yourself, so that you're not getting out of character, you're not going to the levels that other people go to, and you're able to maintain your peace. And finally, I speaking blessings over your finances, for financial stewardship, and I'm going to continue to speak blessings over your financial stewardship. It's one thing to have a certain amount of income and, be living prosperous, but it's another thing to actually have financial stewardship, to be able to handle those finances when they come in, so that you're thinking smart, that you're investing, that you're saving, and all these other things. So speak blessings over financial stewardship. So once again, next Fulfilling Life Friday is going to be on Periscope, so download that app and follow Kia Harris. And until next time, I will talk to you then. Have a great weekend.